Hi, so I'm back with part two. My next author on this list is David Hume. One reason I've chosen these the 10 works I've chosen is that I think these represent, as far as you can go in a particular direction in philosophy, and so this is definitely the case with David Hume, as he's an author who's really the basis of a certain approach to philosophy, which is something that's been taken up by the analytical philosophers of the 20th century. David Hume is skeptical philosopher. In other words, he doesn't believe in metaphysical constructions that many previous philosophers, especially the rationalists, constructed, and Platonists of various kinds. So he tries to deconstruct that, and such things as to the idea that there's a self also come under his fire. So that's David Hume, A Treatise of Human Nature. Incredibly, he wrote this book when he was in his mid-20s, published when he was 26, I think. It deals with the question of knowledge, how we come by what we call knowledge. It also deals with ethics and with what they called in 17th and 18th centuries the passions, what we'd call the emotions, the question of freedom of will, and so on. So another great classic. Next one's a little different in that it's not a work of, it just deals with one area of philosophy, which is political philosophy. This is Jean-Jacques Rousseau's The Social Contract. Again, I've got the French edition here. I think this is a very important work in political philosophy, and I think that just in terms of understanding what politics is about in general, in terms of the theory of politics, I think this is an absolutely central work. Very famous first line, man is born free but is everywhere in chains. So that's The Social Contract. Next one, quite big thick tome here, Immanuel Kant, The Critique of Pure Reason. I've got it in French here. I unfortunately don't have one in English. I believe the translation by Norman Kemp Smith is the best one in English, but somebody will correct me. That's been superseded. Right. This is definitely the most difficult of all the works I've selected here. But I would always say that don't let anybody tell you that a philosophy book is too difficult to read. Try it yourself, see how you get on with it. I think it's not the most difficult book in philosophy. There are others that Hegel in particular I've had more problems with. But this is, again, absolutely essential work. I would say it's really dealing with the question of knowledge and how we come, what knowledge consists in. It's just an incredible work of the human mind. Basically, it's a great kind of cathedral of the intellect. As I say, it's a very difficult work. If you just want to get an idea of what it's about, you can read the preface to the second edition, which is 20 pages or so, which gives you kind of structure and outline of the work. why not go further? You know, you try and read some more of it. It's very difficult to sum up in a few seconds incredible work like this, but it's definitely one of the most incredible works of the human mind, human intellect that there is. So, and incredibly rich in ideas, in about freedom, about the existence of God, about determinism, and about perception. I mean, lots and lots and lots of things there. Okay. Next one on my list is Nietzsche. As I mentioned, another one of my favourite philosophers. I've chosen Beyond Good and Evil. The reason for this is I think Beyond Good and Evil is a good summary of his mature philosophy. People have some very strange ideas about Nietzsche. People think his philosophy is impenetrable, which is rubbish. He writes in a very poetic kind of style, where he changes his style over his career, but I would definitely say it's not as difficult as some other philosophy. In fact, very often it's very enjoyable to read Nietzsche. This one is fairly straightforward kind of exposition, fairly straightforward style in Beyond Good and Evil. And I just think he's an incredibly important philosopher, because what he did was to overturn a whole intellectualistic tradition in Western philosophy and bring back the idea that the body is essential, and the emotions go into determining the way we see the world and the way we think, and our body too. And this was at the basis of a lot of philosophy of the 20th century. In fact, a lot of literature too that inspired Heidegger, the phenomenology movement, and people like D.H. Lawrence, and so on in literature, and Camus, so on. So that's Nietzsche, and I've probably skipped a few philosophers, a few of people's favourite philosophers in this list, one of them being Hegel, and I haven't given any living philosophers to date, so I'll just finish with one last classic. This is a living philosopher who's called Charles Taylor. This is his great work, The Sources of the Self, the Making of the Modern Identity. Again, I mentioned Hegel because Taylor is very influenced by Hegel, and he's examining here, or he's exposing the development of the idea of the modern individual and the self throughout Western philosophy. It's a great big thick work. I would say, like all the books I've selected, in fact, it's an education in itself. I think any of these books really can be enormously enriching. And great source of reflection. So that's The Sources of the Self, Charles Taylor. And I said before that mentioned about introductions to philosophy. Well, all of these books, in a sense, I think they can be introductions to philosophy. I prefer that. I think it's better that people go straight into philosophy rather than reading dozens of introductions. That's kind of trap. But I'd say there's one book that is very good if you just want an overview of philosophy, of Western philosophy. It's this one. It's Brian McGee. Okay, if you haven't read any philosophy before, you don't know much about philosophy, you can use this as a kind of overview. I'd say don't just dip into it, but read it from cover to cover. It really is very, very good. He's really a genius in explaining philosophical ideas. So that's it really. Running out of time again. So I hope you choose some of those and enjoy them.